Hi there, welcome to this exclusive instructional video for this TRIGA Go display setup. Let's dive in. So first things first, let's start with the TRIGA Go wall. Lay out the components of the carry case on a clean flat surface as shown here. Let's start by attaching the foot to the bottom pole. You'll notice throughout the hardware is conveniently labeled to direct you in order to assemble your frame. Simply line up the cutout crosshair mold on the bottom pole to the cutout crosshair on the foot and lock into place by twisting the foot. So now the foot is secured to the bottom pole and you can rest it on your clean flat surface. Repeat this process for one other pole. Now since this particular wall setup is utilizing accessory poles, we're not going to bother with the two regular feet that come with the TRIGA Go wall display. We're going to go right ahead and install the remaining two poles for the wall display into the accessory feet option, just so we're ready to install those accessory poles when we come to it. So unlike the three-pronged foot that comes standard in a TRIGA Go wall display kit, the accessory foot is this long, straight version. But the same rule applies, just line up the crosshairs on the bottom pole there with the cutout of the foot and twist into place. Okay, looking good so far. It's now time to install the bottom crossbars. So there is a notched tab on the end of the crossbar that fits into the channel on the side pole here of your frame, and it just slides into place. And now you move the green locking mechanism over to lock into place. Repeat this process for the remaining crossbars. Okay, so now that the bottom crossbars are installed, let's go ahead and attach the support braces. Line up the posable tabs with the interior channel on your frame. And now you're going to twist the lock and snap into place. All right, so with the support braces now attached, let's go ahead and install the top poles. So a quick note about the top poles. The literal top portion of the top pole has this tension release capability. You wanna make sure it is in this position right here. When you push back down, it will spring up, but that will come into play when we attach the graphics. Now the poles themselves connect together as such. Simply line up the notch of the top pole to the hole on the bottom pole and twist the fastener tight to secure into place. All right, so with the top poles in place, we can now go ahead and attach the top crossbar. Now, if you have a ladder on hand and you're allowed to use one, you can go ahead and use a ladder to access the top poles to install these crossbars. But if you're not allowed to use a ladder, you can also achieve this by just simply tipping the frame down. I'd recommend multiple people help out on this step, but it can still be achieved with one person. So go ahead and identify that tab that notches out at the end of the crossbar and line it up and install it in the notch on the top knob of the top pole. And it just slides into place. Again, make sure those knobs on the top poles are recessed in as seen here. Those will come into play later, again, when we attach our graphic. But repeat this process for the remaining two crossbars. Okay, so with the top crossbars installed, we have the frame now officially set up, and now we can move on to attaching the graphic. Now, given wherever you're at, if you're allowed to use a ladder or if you have one conveniently on hand, you can tip the frame back up and install it utilizing a ladder. However, if you do not have a ladder available to you or you're not allowed to use one, I would recommend just keeping the frame still tipped over as seen here to install that graphic. Now, if it's easier to remove the feet quick in order to install the graphic, you can do that and then just replace the feet once you're done. Otherwise, you can still keep the feet on while you apply the graphic. I will leave that portion up to you. So for attaching this double-sided graphic, you're going to start with the back side of your display first. So however you have the frame laid down, make sure that you're going to be installing the back side of that graphic. Fold that silicone edge band of the graphic into the channel on the top crossbar and start working your way down. And you're going to start where that channel starts and just start feeding your way down the rest of the frame. So once we have the back installed, we're going to go ahead and wrap the rest of the graphic around the end of the frame and then install the front side. So at this point, it might be easier just to flip the frame over to do the front side, or if you have multiple people helping out, you can flip it up. They can hold the frame while someone continues to install the rest of the graphic. However your situation varies, you can do this through a multitude of ways. So just go ahead and take the rest of the graphic and just simply make that turn around the end pole and continue feeding that silicone edge band into the channel of the crossbar. Now for this 6-inch or so overhang of the graphic that then wraps around back to the back side, you can display that however you see fit. Some people don't mind see the crease or the seam, the connection. Otherwise, you can just quickly remove 6 or so inches of what you just installed to then place that overhang in and then replace the graphic to have a little bit more of a seamless transition. But that is for you to decide. I personally like it a little bit more hidden, so it's a little bit more not noticeable. And you go ahead, fold that silicone edge, and the channel can hold both silicone edges being overlapped like that. Now remember what I said earlier about that tension release knob on the top portion of the frame. This is where that comes into play. Once you press that in to release that tension, it will then make the graphic nice and taut. So do that on all of the top poles. Press down on that tension release knob, and you can feel it and you'll notice it once it's sprung forward. Again, just making that graphic nice and taut. All right, so with the graphic attached, you can go ahead and tip your frame back up. If you removed your feet, go ahead and replace the feet. Okay, so now you're ready to install your accessory poles. Again, just thread the crosshair portion of the lower pole into the etching outline on the foot. Now to attach the brackets to the top of your accessory poles, again, if you have a ladder handy, you can go ahead and use that. You can tip the frame down again one last time to access the top of the frame in order to attach those brackets. So to install these brackets, make sure your locking tab is in the unlocked position and lift it up and line up that tab with the channel that's on the top crossbar. And the corner of this bracket lines up on the top of the pole as well. So you can kind of just fit it into place. Twist the locking tab and push down. Then it should line up perfectly with the hole on the top pole. Replace with the green screw and to secure into place. Repeat this process for the second bracket. As far as installing the prime LED lights, you can do this step when your frame is tipped down, when you've attached those accessory brackets to the poles. Otherwise, you can do it while your frame is up if you have a chair handy nearby or if you're allowed to use a ladder. I'm just standing on a chair right now, but again, you can do this when the frame is tipped down, but simply unscrew the bracket screw on the end of the prime LED light, position it over the top of the frame, and tighten into place as needed. Let the power source hang down and plug into an outlet. So now you can attach your accessories. We'll start by showing you how to attach the shelves. So to install the shelf brackets, make sure the green tab is lifted up and you're gonna line up the back side of that locking mechanism with the interior channel of the accessory pole and set it to your desired height. Twist and lock into place. Line up the brackets as best you can. Some adjustments might need to be made to make it level. And the shelf simply rests on the brackets like so. The same process applies for the monitor mount. Line up the green tabs with the interior channel on the accessory pole. Twist, push down, and lock into place. Make sure the brackets on the interior portion of the mount have the lip facing up so that you can hang the TV monitor on the mount. You want to line up the screw holes in the back of your monitor with the holes on the back of the hanging bracket for the mount, and simply screw in the green screws to lock into place. Make sure that the lip hooks on the bracket are facing down towards the bottom of your monitor so that it can hang on the mount. Fantastic, so now you have your TRIGA wall with the accessories and your prime LED lights all set up. We can now go ahead and set up your TRIGA counter. So first things first, we're gonna lay out the components on a clean flat surface, and we're gonna start by building from the ground up. So we're gonna lay out the bottom crossbars, and we're gonna align those into the channels on the side poles here. Smaller ones in. Now that we have the bottom crossbars in the channels of the poles, let's go ahead and make sure we lock these bottom crossbars into place. We can now go ahead and install the bottom support braces. Line up the tabs with the channel of the poles, move the locking tab, and secure into place. The top crossbars install just the same as if you were installing them on a TRIGA wall. And make sure the tension release top bars are recessed in before you put the graphic on. At this point, we're going to install the braces that will then support your shelf. Go ahead and rest the shelf on the support braces. So to start installing your graphic on your TRIGA counter, you're gonna start on the top, folding in that edge into the top channel like so, and just kind of work your way around the top of the counter. The graphic will wrap around and have 6 or so inches on the back here. That will leave an opening for you to access your inner shelf. And do the same thing on the bottom. Just work your way around the frame. So with your graphic securely wrapped around the entirety of the frame, go ahead and press down on the top of the tension release poles to make your graphic nice and taut. And then you're gonna move that green tab to the locked position on all 4 poles so that your countertop can support necessary weight. And last but not least, you can install your countertop. Line up the raised corner pieces on the bottom of the countertop on the interior of your frame. And there you have it. You're now ready to utilize the marketing power of this exclusive TRIGA display setup.